was all these products are saying that they don't have any sugar in them. I think that's like the biggest claim that I'm seeing right now, that they're like sugar free, like this is sugar free energy, with like sugar actually provides your body with energy. Hello and welcome back to the Eat More Carbs podcast. I'm your host and sports dietitian, Reilly Beatty. In today's episode, I'm here with my new co-host and performance dietitian, Jenna Fisher.
Hello, hello.
I'm so excited. I don't know if anybody just caught that, but we are officially bringing Jenna on as a co-host to the Eat More Carbs podcast.
I'm so excited to be the co-host of the Eat More Carbs podcast and get to chat with you a little bit more frequently about all things fueling, and also talk to other registered dietitians and health professionals about making sure that everyone is fueling properly for sport and for personal life. If you're new to the Eat More Carbs podcast, Reilly and I will be putting out a podcast every Tuesday to talk about fueling and to talk about other things in the sports world, also in the nutrition world too. We also do a high and low segment at the beginning of our podcast, which is just a little bit about personally what's going on with Reilly and I. So the good part of our week and maybe what's not so good about our week, because we're human and the bad parts do come up. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that off right now because I'm just so excited about my high from this past week, which is that we made it to Arizona. We live in Arizona now. I'm no longer an East Coast gal. I am in the Pacific time zone for at least the time being. And I'm really excited to just start this new chapter of life with my husband, Nolan. My other high from the week is that I am the new co-host of this podcast. So I know that's kind of silly for me to say, but I'm just so excited to be the co-host of the Eat More Carbs podcast now. It's just a fun and exciting thing to get to do. My low part of the week is related to moving to Arizona, and that is I got locked out of my house here.
Wait, what happened? You've only been there for a couple of weeks.
I know. So this is kind of an embarrassing story, but like just basically sums up my personality all in one. So Nolan was home and our dog George needed to go out to go to the bathroom. And even though we have like a little courtyard with turf in it, because, you know, everybody has turf here and not grass, George isn't quite used to using the turf as a place to go to the bathroom. So we have to take him, like the prince he is, to the grass that's just at the end of our street. So I was like, oh, I need to take George out. Nolan and I decided we'll go together. It's a nice, you know, it's the middle part of the day. We'll just get up and stretch our legs. Mind you, it's like 110 degrees outside. So we go out. Our new front door has one of those touch pads that you just punch in the code and it lets you in and out. But this one locks automatically. So like,
what?
It doesn't, yes. So like even if you don't hit the little like relock button, like you just hear the, like a couple seconds after you leave, like the door just goes, and the deadbolt like locks again. And I didn't think anything of it. Like we'd been here for maybe 3 days. Like we were getting in and out just fine. So George does his business. We come back to go back, and George is my dog. We come back to go back inside, and I get through like 2 of the numbers and the keypad just stops working. And I am not good in panic situations. This is why I'm not like anybody who works in an emergency room or anyone that needs to make like panic decisions type of thing. I'm immediately like, oh my God, it's 110 degrees. We're locked outside of our house. We have no way to get in. Neither of us have our phones. We only have our watches. Thankfully, like I don't have like a new Apple Watch or anything like that. But so like the range of it is not as good as maybe some of the newer ones. But I had left my phone like right by the door. So I was still connected to my phone. So I'm able to call my sister off of my watch because of course, again, it's not a new one. So I can see like my favorites list of people, but I can't see, you know, all the people that I like have in my contacts or anything like that. Or I call my sister. She's able to call or look up numbers for a locksmith. We can call a locksmith off of Nolan's watch. We did get inside, but poor George was very confused as to why he could not get back inside. And I guess from what I understand now is those keypads occasionally in extreme heat maybe don't work as well as we would like them to. So that's the reason. So moral of the story is always have a backup key if you do have one of those and you live in a hotter climate. So that's my low week.
I can't believe they lock automatically in a hot climate. You literally live in Arizona.
Right? We turned that feature off.
I mean, like, I guess it's handy, right? Like, it's nice, but like, I can't imagine.
It was horrible. George was just like pawing at the door, and I was like, I'm sorry, buddy.
Take me back to Ohio.
He's
Not
like,
a
where's
desert
the
dog.
Snow? No, poor guy. He doesn't quite get it yet. We're all adjusting. It's all good. So overall, the high is that we're here. We like it in Arizona so far. we're excited to be here. Just, occasionally get locked out of your house and, dehydration enters that chat real quickly when you're outside and it's 110 degrees outside.
I'm glad you got back inside.
Yeah, me too. What is your high and low from this past week?
Oh my gosh. So high, we'll start with a high. So this is like kind of exciting. It's also kind of funny for me, but I got asked to be like an adjunct professor at our local university, the College of Charleston. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Congrats.
Thanks. Which is really exciting. I never really thought I wanted to like teach, but then they like reached out and I got like really excited. So I'm just gonna be teaching like a basic nutrition course to like exercise science students. So it's like a little bit of sports nutrition, a little bit of basic nutrition. I don't know. They're giving me 2 classes. Like they're giving me a lot of power. So we'll have to report back on how that's going. I'm gonna be teaching this like fall semester, which I'm very excited about.
Oh my gosh. When do you start officially teaching?
I think the first day is like August 24th. So in a couple of weeks, but that's just like syllabus day and all of that stuff. It's actually a pretty good setup. Each of my classes is gonna be 30 kids.
Oh, nice. Okay. Will you be like a remote teacher? I know like so many classes are remote now. Will you be remote or will you be in person?
I'm going to be in person. I'm going to be standing at the front of a classroom.
I'm so excited for all the lecture slides and everything like that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. Congrats. Yeah. Are you looking forward to it?
I am. Yeah. I mean, I work with so many like college age students anyways. I was like, oh, but nice to be like back at a university, maybe just obviously in a different role because I never really want to work in a college athletic department ever again. I'm a little burnt out from that. Not saying that's a bad thing. It'll be nice to be back in like a college environment again, but just taking on a different role. I'm very excited. I'll have to report back. I'll talk to you in 2 months and I'll probably be like, I'm so stressed, but right now I'm very excited.
And it's kind of goes well with like your education being that you have degrees in both exercise and nutrition. And where you were a TA when you got both of those degrees, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. San Diego State.
Go Aztecs.
Okay, I was definitely going to get that wrong.
Yeah, go Aztecs. They're in like maybe the Pac-12 I think now. I think they're going to a different conference.
Oh, really? Okay, well then, man, really leaving Colorado State in the dust then. I see San Diego State just heading on out.
Hey, they had like a pretty good year in basketball, so they're trying to take advantage of it.
Hey, got to take advantage of those opportunities.
So, low of the week. All right. It has to do with our favorite sports drink, energy drink, Prime. I know we're going to be chatting a little bit about hydration today. I've been getting so many questions about hydration. It is freaking hot here. I know it's hot in Arizona. It is hot here. It is sweaty in Charleston, South Carolina. So lots of hydration questions. And this kind of low ties nicely into today's episode. So Robbie and I, like to take our weekly Costco trips as a family of 2. It's just how it is. There's always like a really good, drink section at Costco. I feel like something that's really good about Costco is like, if you wanted to get like sparkling water or like coconut water or Gatorade or like anything like any drink, Costco's a great place to buy them like in bulk. So Robbie's on Gator Light right now, which is like the new Gatorade version or like the new Gatorade product. It is similar, like it's almost like a liquid IV, but like in liquid form. Like I actually really like the product. So he was like, I wonder if there's Gator Light at Costco. And sometimes Costco like has newer products. They like are trying to try them out, things like that. So we go over to the hydration section. There's no Gator Light there. There's regular Gatorade. There's like Body Armor, and then there's like Prime Hydration. And Robbie goes, should I get the Prime? Dead serious. 110% serious. He was like, or does it, you said it does it have electrolytes in it? And I just looked at him and I thought, do we have to get divorced? And I was like, no, it doesn't have any electrolytes. And I just moved along with my life. And I died a little bit inside. The Prime Hydration does not have electrolyte. Robert, if you are listening.
Again, we go back to the idea that those marketing companies that are like celebrity owned and backed companies do such a good job with making you believe that what their product is claiming to do, it actually does.
Yeah. I mean, it makes so much sense. So if you look at a Prime Hydration product, it says 800 milligrams of electrolytes on the side of it, which
sounds like a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm intrigued. And then you look at what their profile is, right? Robbie did go over and look and be like, oh, there's only 30 milligrams of sodium. I'm not drinking that. So got to give him props after he looked at the label. But at the beginning, you're like, oh, 800 milligrams of electrolytes. And you hear, okay, you need electrolytes. It's hot out right now. And it just goes back to like, what are the electrolytes in the product? Because actually, if you even look at what's in the product, there's only 10% coconut water in a Prime Hydration product. And to get 700 or 800 milligrams of potassium, which is their main electrolyte, you would need to drink like 12 to 16 ounces of coconut water, which means you're not even getting electrolytes from the coconut water in the Prime Hydration. They're actually added in. You can see it on the label. It's added in as an electrolyte.
And it's added in as like a potassium additive, which would be like a potassium diphosphate or something like that, correct?
Yeah, I think they also do it just maybe add potassium in, but sometimes like it is in there also as a preservative.
That's very interesting. It's crazy that they can make these claims on a drink like that and it actually be so different. When you're at a store looking at something, do you go to like the ingredients list because it's listed by weight in like the ingredients to check that for like kind of things, or do you kind of dig into it a little bit more before you actually go and look at something?
I think it depends. With Prime, like I saw that in the fall like of 2022 because they were they were promoting it like at EPL, which is like the English Premier League. They were promoting it like on the side. I think they were maybe promoting it at the World Cup. And Robbie actually, he has redeemed himself. He pointed it out back then and was like, hey, have you heard of this product? So like then I deep dive into it. But sometimes like I will kind of go through the ingredients list.
I feel like it's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah.
Because we want to make sure, I mean, like there's oftentimes the first time that I'm seeing a product usually is in a grocery store. So I'm going to the ingredients list and I'm looking at like by weight, where are we at with things? And then also looking into it like once I do get home, because obviously like not going to know right off the bat that if I'm in a grocery store and I'm looking at, you know, what is labeled as an energy drink is actually like Kim K's new marketing product, which is the new thing kind of out right now, is that everybody I feel like is rushing to the store to try to find, I don't even know what it's called, like KIMADE, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's Alani. Right? It's Alani, like Alani
Okay.
New. I always see them at Target. I've never tried them. Yeah. I'm not putting any of that into my body, but but it is like, it's KIMADE. It's her new, I feel like everybody's making a sports drink right now. Or an energy drink or sports, I don't know, hydration
product. Because that's really all this is not even a hydration product. It's just a drink.
Okay, well, I was actually looking at it because put it on my radar as like something to look at. And also Wild, her product came out July 17th. And so I went to the website on like at like 9:00 on like July 17th. That energy drink is already sold out.
You're kidding me.
No.
In a day.
Like
wow.
A couple of hours. Because I'm on the East Coast too. So like it hasn't even hit the West Coast. Like it's 6 a.m. on the West Coast.
Right. People aren't up. I mean, unless you live in Arizona and you got to walk your dog at 6 a.m., like you aren't up.
Yeah. We got a little ahead of ourselves though. So what is the new Kim K like product that's out there?
Okay. So Kim Kardashian has a new energy drink that is partnered with, like she's in collaboration with Alani, and advertising marketing again is done, in my opinion, extremely well, because all of like the ads that I have personally seen are like Kim K around workout equipment, looking great, doing her thing. That drink itself is just kind of taking off clearly again with it already being sold out, which kind of brings us all back to this idea that there is a lot of celebrities like entering the space for these energy drinks or sports beverages, whatever we want to call them.
I feel like it's like the new thing, which again, like I'm never mad about like hydration product, but these energy drinks, I feel like actually can be kind of like dangerous, and there's so much marketing behind them that is not necessarily like safe or truthful.
What do you feel like about hers is the most concerning? Because I have a lot of concerns just like kind of surface level. Most of those being like marketing obviously is targeted to sell the product. So it's kind of coming across as if you drink this, you will be able to work out really well or work out at a high level and potentially look like Kim Kardashian, which, just as a reminder, there's a lot more going on to Kim Kardashian than just like exercise.
Well, okay, the one thing I do like about this product is it has 180 milligrams of sodium in it, which is like drinking 6 Prime hydration products.
Yeah. Although if you did drink 6 Prime hydration products, you would probably overdose on caffeine, since don't they have a ridiculous amount of caffeine in them?
The energy drinks do.
Okay.
Not the hydration ones, but also the energy drinks do not have any sodium in them either.
So it would be drinking like 100.
Yeah.
100 times more.
Yeah, exactly. I think the big thing with energy drinks is I just see them as a like all across the board, right? I think the big thing with hers right now is it's marketed as like a healthier energy drink product, but when you look at the ingredients label, it's almost similar to like the other Alani products, which are just energy drinks, and like other products that are out there, like a Celsius or a Prime energy drink. I don't think there's anything like super healthy or whatever her claims are about these products. I think the biggest thing with energy drinks is they're just often a band-aid for like poor fueling or poor sleep or poor recovery habit. Big component, like I'm a big proponent of caffeine, but these energy drinks scare me a little bit.
I do remember like back in the day, I was competing in sports. So like high school age, watching other competitors like drink energy drinks. And at that time, it was mostly like Monster, Red Bull at the forefront of that, like right before a race or something like that. And I was just like, even at that age, like that kind of made my stomach turn. But in comparison to some of those other ones, like maybe what we think of as like the ones that were a little bit more popular, like back in the day, like where do these compare? Like if we're looking at a KIMADE Prime in comparison to like a Red Bull, like what does that look like?
I mean, it's pretty similar. I think the biggest difference that we see with like, or at least what I see it with like a Red Bull or a Monster, some of those original energy drinks compared to the products we're seeing now, right? The Prime, the KIMADE, the Celsius. I feel like Celsius was the big one before we had the Prime, and I guess Bang even before that.
Yeah.
Was all these products are saying that they don't have any sugar in them. I think that's like the biggest claim that I'm seeing right now, that they're like sugar-free, like this is sugar-free energy, with like sugar actually provides your body with energy. Caffeine doesn't provide energy.
Yeah.
It's a stimulant which can help, the body produce like energy and all those things, but it's not essential energy, which I think Celsius claims.
It's kind of interesting to see too, especially like being like a dietitian, watching that become what's more popular is to find the thing that is the lowest calorie. Like everybody is looking for the zero sugar, the no calorie, the low calorie. Like even KIMADE's like advertised it's a healthy alternative because it does have, only whatever it is, like 10 or 20 calories per serving. And that's not necessarily the case. It's not something that's actually providing you energy, just like you said so many times before, that if we are using some type of an energy drink, whether that be like coffee or it be some type of a promoted energy drink, like is there something going on behind the scenes that is like lack of fueling that's causing us to feel like we do need to mask that with some type of caffeine to promote what feels like energy, and in reality it's because we don't have like a proper fueling foundation, which would be the concern for most dietitians. I feel like if we had anybody, regardless of at the athletic level, constantly feeling like they needed some type of an energy drink.
Exactly. I think another dangerous thing about these energy drinks is they seem to be like maybe a little bit, they're smaller, right? So when we look at like the energy that we've seen in a lot of these, or the caffeine amount that we've seen in a lot of these energy drinks, it's about 200 milligrams of caffeine. That's like drinking a venti Starbucks coffee, right? That's going to probably take somebody a lot longer to drink than like somebody chugging an energy drink, right? So the amount of caffeine, yes, is the same, but the rate that it's entering the body is different. And that can be also like something to think about. And like also as a dietitian, like a little bit of a cause of concern for me when I'm like looking at these products.
Can you remind me what like the legal limit is for like caffeine intake for a Division I or higher performing athlete that might be like concerned with caffeine intake related to like drug testing?
Yeah. So in the NCAA, caffeine is a banned substance. It is a gray area because caffeine metabolizes, it can get out of your body very quickly. But if you were to drink an energy drink, I know Celsius is now banned in the NCAA because of the type of caffeine that's in that product. If you were to take, if you were to drink one of these energy drinks and then you were to shortly get drug tested, therefore after, you would likely test positive. Everybody's a little bit different on the amount that they can metabolize, and it just becomes a gray area. But if you're somebody who is relying on energy drinks to get through training, to get through games, if you're having like, I know people who are having like, I've heard stories of people having like 5 to 6 of these products a day. Like that's not good for performance, for health. You're definitely going to test positive on a drug test. Usually if you're sticking with regular cups of coffee, you'll be fine. Usually, 3 to 4 ounce cups of coffee a day would be probably the max recommendation that I would have.
So it's kind of again, goes back to the idea that we're getting a lot in a little bit amount of time, plus the type of caffeine that we're seeing from these types of sports drink would be cause for concern. I think one of the things that I've seen frequently with energy sports drinks in general is with maybe not so much of an athletic population, but a population that's just trying to get through school or something like that they feel like they need to be more alert for and kind of on their game, whether that be, you know, they want to stay awake through math class, or they just want to be more alert through a higher class that they, you know, feel like they need a little bit more for, which all goes back to, again, like whether or not this individual has a good fueling foundation. Like, why do we feel like we need more energy? Why do we feel like we are sluggish? Is there something going on with rest and recovery? Are we not prioritizing fueling? Things like that like are definitely cause for concern for outside of an athletic population too.
So what you're saying is that when people come to my class in the fall, they better not have an energy drink to get through it.
Yeah. If you see anybody in there with an energy drink, it's an automatic 5-point deduction from their first project or papers.
They're gonna hate me.
No. But see, that does give you like a great opportunity to educate young people who are pretty much the target population for these marketing campaigns, like the information that is relevant to like themselves and their health, and then allows them to make that health decision on their own regarding like, do they need to prioritize fueling? Do they need to prioritize rest in order to feel like they don't necessarily need the ridiculous amounts of caffeine that are in a prime energy drink?
Yeah. They're not going to like me saying that, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Sometimes the truth is hard. Just like sometimes you get locked out of your house in Arizona when you drink beer. That's hard.
So another new product, because I know that we just talked about the KIMADE, another new product that I am seeing right now as it relates to hydration and just kind of energy, things like that, is the new sugar-free Liquid IV.
I was hoping you would bring this up. I, right off the bat, like had so many feelings about this, which mostly stems from the conversations that I've had with you, because we've talked so much about how when you're looking at a hydration product, especially for an athletic population, you look for 3 things. 1 being the fluid, 2 being the electrolyte, mostly sodium because that's what's lost in sweat, but 3 being the carbohydrate, which is what helps your body absorb the sodium. And that's what's really important and what Liquid IV really capitalizes on as far as their marketing and having that special absorbent, whatever property they call it, because I can't remember what they use to term
CTT. It's
Thank you. Yes, like cellular transport, something
technology, I think, or something like that.
Yes. But that is the carbohydrate. So I was really curious if this new sugar-free Liquid IV would still try to use that same terminology for this product without the sugar in it.
I know. I actually don't know. I'm going to look it up right now because I want to see if it is, because I mean, they can't make that claim. I guess people can make any claim. This just breaks my heart a little bit, honestly. I mean, I get what they're doing it for. They took it off.
Oh, okay.
They took it off. It looks like I'm on their website right now, and it looks like they took it off their packets.
Okay.
They don't have that cellular transit technology or whatever it's called.
You know, the other thing that's interesting, this is kind of another, like Costco, obviously you and I go frequent Costco often, but Costco has samples again, which like, that's my love language, is free samples. But we walked past one of the samples and it was Liquid IV. And the lady was like, oh, do you want to try this specific flavor? And my husband was like, oh yeah, like I like Liquid IV, like I'll try it. And she like takes out a separate like pre-mixed bottle and pours it. And Nolan was like, why don't you have this one just out? And she's like, well, we have so many kids that run up and just grab samples and run off. And she's this one has caffeine in it. So Liquid IV also has a product that is caffeinated. So I'm curious if that product too is kind of to keep up with the Prime Energies, the KIMADE energy drinks of the world, because like as a company, like, right, you still have to kind of keep up with the trends of the market in order to like have a profitable business. So I'm curious if potentially that this zero sugar Liquid IV is same type of thing, because we do see like this massive push towards having like a lower calorie beverage choice.
I mean, that's like 110% why we have Gatorade Zero.
Yeah.
Because the consumer and the general population overall doesn't want sugary drinks, because they've been taught, right, that they do not need sugar and that this is a lot of sugar. And again, right, everything in moderation. There's always a fueling focus behind things. But the general population has been told to fear sugar. So things that even have just 15 grams of sugar in them are now deemed
like unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where like I mean, we see this all the time, not to go on to a different tangent, but Core Power, which is a really popular like recovery beverage, used to have carbohydrates in it. It had a ton of carbohydrates in it, and it just broke all of the sports dietitians' heart that were working in like a college or university setting at the time when they took those carbohydrates out, because we want that 3-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein, you know, after training, after games, competitions, things like that. And they took those carbohydrates out, which again, we were so sad, but it's because they wanted to market the product to the general population, and the general population only wanted a protein drink.
One without carbohydrate.
Yeah, so now we're all sitting there adding the freaking maltodextrin and adding carbohydrate back into the Core Power and then shaking it up and then giving it to our athletes. And just because it goes back to like the general population versus athlete nutrition, it's very different. There's different things that are wanted.
I think more than anything too, like beyond just the general population, it's what the general population like misconception about nutrition really is. Like, this is the Eat More Carbs podcast. Like, we're encouraging you to eat more carbs regardless of population that you may be in. And I think that's because for such a long time, carbohydrates, sugar, things like that have just been totally demonized in the world of fueling, whether you're fueling to be an athlete or you're fueling to be a human.
Exactly. I mean, your brain, even if you just laid in bed all day, your brain runs off of like 120 to 130 grams of carbohydrates. Like that alone, right? Like you didn't move from the bed. And so now, you know, you're being active, you know, different things like that. Like you're also like using your brain for like thinking. And yeah, like, right?
Yeah. There's a reason why, like, before you took a standardized test, like, sometimes your teacher would be like, make sure you have a hearty breakfast. Like, that's because you're using your brain. Your brain requires fuel, just like anything else in your body does, too. You can't just operate on caffeine and 10 milligrams of sodium from what is marketed as what's going to give you energy. You might feel like you have energy, but that's because there's a stimulant there. It's not because you have true energy.
Short term.
Yep.
When athletes start like working in like the Performance Fueling Club and they start eating more, the number one thing that I hear from them is, I have so much more energy. Yeah, because you ate more, like, right? You were started fueling properly. Like, it is crazy too. Like, if you start like applying some of like the basic sports nutrition principles, you can start having more energy instantly. Like, people are like, wow, I like ate properly and like I had energy. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. So we talked a lot about things that we don't necessarily like about hydration and energy, but what are your tips to kind of end us out for today's episode on like how to stay hydrated? Because it is freaking hot right now, right? So what are like 3 or 4 of your top dietitian recommendations for those people and athletes trying to stay hydrated?
I feel like this is so important because these are things that I've had to implement in order to like encourage myself to stay hydrated in now that I live in the desert. Because it is, I feel myself like getting dehydrated, which is just kind of, maybe I'm just being dramatic. That's totally possible. But I am in a drier climate, so I need to make sure that I am prioritizing making sure that I'm hydrated. So one of the things I always do is I always have a water bottle with me. I know that sounds so silly, but it's really important whether I'm leaving the house or I'm just, you know, sitting at my desk or whatever. Yeah, exactly. To have a water bottle with me. And even if it means that I'm going to Target in the $5 section, and maybe this is an excuse to go to Target to pick up a new water bottle because it makes it feel more fun. And I don't know if it's just like the psychology of I've spent money on this, so therefore I want to use it more, but having a new water bottle always makes me feel like I could drink more water. The other thing that I love to do too, this is not necessarily like incorporating electrolytes or something like that, but plain water can feel really boring after a long time. So in order to keep my water cool and to give it a little bit of flavor, I love to go to like any store. I go to Trader Joe's for this because it's easiest to find, but frozen mango chunks. And I'll put frozen mangoes in my water. 1, because it cools it down and keeps my water nice and cold. And I like cold water. And 2, it kind of gives it a little bit of flavor. Mangoes make everything taste sweet because they're a very sweet tasting fruit. So I love to do that to help myself like have a little difference in my water. Kind of breaks up that monotony of feeling like you're just drinking water over and over again. Those are probably like the 2 that I think I gravitate towards most for myself. But hydration is also like any liquid, which I know we've like talked about before. So whether that be, you know, you're someone who really likes carbonated water, like there is no problem drinking carbonated water to help yourself stay hydrated if that's what you prefer versus, you know, like a plain tap water or something like that. I probably just stole some of your tips too, because I feel like, you know, we both talk about carbonated water, but do you have anything to add to that for your hydration tips?
I am somebody like you where like I get kind of sick of plain water, right? Like I love adding fruit. I'm a big like sparkling water, soda water, LaCroix girl. I know that's like a controversial opinion, but hey, it works for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, it's my European blood, right? Who like wants to just drink sparkling water in Europe all the time. But I think also it is very important to incorporate like hydrating foods. So like watermelon, I think is a great one, and just focusing on like trying to get, water through like fruits and vegetables, right? Even popsicles, like things like that. And then also those foods can also stimulate thirst as well. So I know sometimes we're like, we need to drink more water, but we don't think about it because we're not thirsty, but having some of those hydrating foods, sweet foods, salty foods, things like that can also stimulate thirst.
That's a really good point. I do disclaimer that does not include celery juice.
Are people still doing that? I'm so sad again. My heart keeps breaking.
Every time I see somebody drink celery juice, I'm like, I feel bad for their taste buds. That just doesn't sound enjoyable to me. But if you like it, like, do your thing. If that's what helps you stay hydrated, great. But it's not a magical thing that's going to cure ailments and make you feel incredible all of a sudden.
No, stop doing it.
Any final thoughts on staying hydrated, drinking enough?
I think the biggest thing with all of the stuff with fueling, with hydration, is just consistency. So starting out small, drinking, water, trying to aim for like smart goals that you learn about in school. Same thing applies here with hydration and fueling. So setting little goals throughout the day, trying to hit, if you're only drinking, an athlete who's drinking 32 fluid ounces of water a day, like trying to jump to 3 to 4 liters is way too much. So start small and build yourself up. Those are my last, maybe words of wisdom, if we can call them that, for hydration today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things we all just need to remember that it is important, very important, to stay hydrated, especially if you are an athlete and you might be experiencing a little bit more sweating than the average person would be. So just be mindful of the things that you are choosing to stay hydrated with, and looking at the products as far as if you are using something that is an energy drink to mask maybe some type of underfueling, that you can reach out to Reilly and I through the Eat More Carbs podcast Instagram page or directly on Instagram. And that's probably the best way to reach out to us if you do have questions regarding specific products. But be mindful of the choices that you are making with your energy drinks, your hydration products, and things like that. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Eat More Carbs podcast. We'll be here every week to talk about all things fueling related. If you have not already followed the Eat More Carbs Instagram page, we are at Eat More Carbs podcast on Instagram. And if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments of this podcast or DM them directly to us on Instagram. Thanks so much for listening, and remember to eat more carbs.